Hi, and welcome to the Business of Being a Virtual Assistant. I'm your host, Tiffany Parsons, and thank you for returning. If you're watching or listening, glad to have you back. If this is your very first time, this is the side of the internet where we talk about the real deal working as a virtual assistant. So, today I want to talk to you about something that you wouldn't think you should proceed with caution or it could be dangerous. Here's the deal: working virtually allows you to work anywhere you are. And that gets dangerous because when are you carving out time to take a break? Now, this episode is being recorded at the end of summer. People are getting in their last vacations and things like that. And if you are like me, your laptop goes with you everywhere, including on vacation. I cannot think of a time where I did not have my laptop with me on vacation. Now, there may be days while I'm on vacation that I try not to open it, but there are other days where I know I am going to open it. Here's the thing that I want to stress to you is that it's important to decide ahead of time when you're going to work and when you're not going to work while you're on vacation. Because guess what? The person on the other end, your client, they have no idea what your schedule is, what you've got going, nor do they have to know. As a contractor, you're working 1099. As a business owner, you don't have to tell anyone when you're on vacation. As far as your clients are concerned, if you're not working a set hours, which you shouldn't be, if you're working as 1099, shouldn't be a set hours of time, but based on deadline, they don't have to know when you're on vacation. They don't have to know when you're out of town, unless that's just some information you want to share. It's important to set boundaries for yourself. We could easily get locked in, especially when you're doing something you really love and enjoy. I am guilty of this. Is to get so engrossed in what I'm doing that I forget everything. I forget to eat. I forget to get up and stretch. I almost forget to go to the bathroom, but your body tells you that. It's the signals that we tune out because we're so focused in what we're doing. So you want to be careful of that and just really um, take some time for yourself and just set your exact times you're going to work for yourself, not to share with anybody else, but to know I'm going to work these days while I'm on vacation. As you can see, I am in a different location from our normal spot. So I'm outside of my office. This is me working in a different place. Again, the beauty of being virtual is being able to take you along wherever I am. And so the show had to go on, had to keep moving, but I wanted to share that little tidbit until we get into today's topic. Now, I want to talk to you about this is addressed to my folks who don't like networking, my folks who are shy. You meet strangers. Some people don't meet strangers, other people meet strangers. Where do we go to find clients? Where do we go to meet people? This is why I direct us to Upwork because people are already there waiting for us. The other thing we have to practice and work on is being vocal about what we do and what we can provide. Now, you may be living somewhere out in the middle of nowhere where there's no people around but you, and that may be why you're working virtually or trying to start your virtual assistant business because no people are around, nobody to network with. So let's dive into that. Nobody around, nowhere. What do? You got to turn your camera on. You got to let people know that you still exist. You got to start talking about the things that you're knowledgeable of, demonstrating you know your stuff. Demonstrating, when I first heard that I should be demonstrating what I'm doing, I'm thinking, does that mean I have to get on my computer and actually show? No. Share, share. Share what you know. Make up scenarios and share those. One of the things that Upwork offers us is real life projects. A couple of years ago, when I did the training course, and we were going through the different steps, and I was helping them, virtual assistant business owners, find their voice, get practice in pitching themselves and promoting themselves. That's another thing. Sometimes we're hesitant to say what all we do. It may feel like bragging or like we're showing off or like we think we know everything, but that's not the case. How will people know if we are not telling them what we do? I have clients that return to me that I haven't talked to in a while. It might be 2 years, it might be 5 years, and I haven't talked to them in a while. How do I know that? How do they know that I'm still doing what I'm doing? Posting, newsletter, video. Posting, newsletter, video. Now, if you've fallen off, we're all getting back on the wagon over here. We're getting back on the wagon, meaning showing up online, showing up on a regular basis online, making it so that people know they can depend on you to be there, depend on us to be there. Imagine you have a potential client on the other side of this camera. They're watching you, or on the other side of your Facebook page, they're seeing your posts, they're seeing your tips, they're seeing what you're sharing. They know you're still doing your thing. They know, oh, I'm going to message her because I see she's still doing her thing. Have you ever run into someone and it's been a long time and they're like, oh, do you still do this? Do you still do that? Do you still know so and so? Because they haven't seen you in a while. They don't know what you've been up to. This way, we don't want our clients to have to wonder what we're up to. We want them to know here by our sharing what we do, by showing up, by posting, doing our video, doing a newsletter. And I know if this is something that you've never done, or again, you're shy, you're nervous about networking, you don't think you know what to talk about, don't worry. We're going to step through this together. If this is something you feel like, oh, you need a more personal direction and guidance, I want you to send me a private message on Facebook. You're going to go to the business of being a virtual assistant, send me a private message there, and we can talk. But here on the podcast, we're going to all go through this. So just imagine we're all together in the classroom. We're going to all go through this together. We'll step through it, going from 1 week to the next. And mixed in with that, it's going to be real life tips and things that I share with you, about the business itself, things that we don't see often. We see a lot of things about, oh, make this much money, do this, do that. But where's the guidance if you've only worked in corporate and you've never done anything like this before? Where's the guidance if you've been doing the same thing for so long and now you want to change up? How do you go about doing that? Do you continue with the clients that you have and just no longer offer the service? Do you pass the clients off to someone else? Do you just not accept any more new clients? These are things that may come up. You may have questions about that, but these are things that we'll talk about here on the podcast. But back to being nervous, shy, not sure what to say, and you're living in the middle of nowhere and nobody else is around. We got to show up on camera and let people know what we're all about and what we know. Now, you may be thinking, well, Tiffany, what do I start with? I've never done this before. I don't know. I don't know all the things. I want you to start with the things that you know right now. If I were to ask you, what was the last thing you did on your job? What was the last project you worked on? What was the last task that you did? You would be able to communicate that information to me. And then I would ask you questions about it. So let's say the last thing you did was create pivot reports and do tables based on quarterly reports. Well, I'm going to ask, where did the information come from? What tools did you use to create the tables, to create the spreadsheets? Did you have to present it? Did you have to deliver it? How did the other person receive it? I want you to think about the questions that people might ask regarding the thing that you're talking about. What questions could they possibly ask based on the things that you're talking about, and give the answer before they can put the question in the comment. I try to predict your questions that you have for me here on the podcast so that I can include that in the episodes. I want you to start doing the same thing. So, today's challenge or this week's challenge, write down the last thing you did on a project or task, whether it be for your virtual assistant business or on your job. I want you to write it down. Write down everything that you used for it, whatever tools you did, whatever, what was the delivery method. Not that you sent an email, but it was a PDF, it was a Word doc, it was a spreadsheet, it was a this, that kind of specific. You're going to put that on your paper. And then I want you to try to think of the questions that came up along the way, before, during, and after that project, and write that all down. Next week, we're going to talk about what to do with that information. I know you're very busy, so you have about 7 days to get this completed before I tell you the next step and what you're to do with that information. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions beforehand, you can post in the comment below or head on over to Facebook, send me a private message if you want to discuss it privately, and we can go from there. Facebook page is The Business of Being a Virtual Assistant. Thanks so much. You have a wonderful and fantastic day.